Folks, welcome to the show where our signals sometimes get crossed, but our swords always are. I'm Gatesy, and I'm with the man who loves his fall weather so much he was on the golf course today, Maniac. How are we doing today? Your Buffalo Sabres are 3-0. It's a beautiful day in Western New York. What more could you be asking for right now in life?
Can't ask for any more. And we got more for the party here as Bun joins in, obviously, on the Crossing Swords pod, brought to you by Batavia Downs, the region's premier entertainment destination. But recently, the Sabres have been a lot of entertainment. Yesterday, getting it done in the Goat Heads in a very entertaining fashion, and obviously taking care of business earlier this week as well. So it's been an exciting week to be a Sabres fan. Again, they are only 4-4-1. We've been reminded a lot on the account of some recent strong starts, whether it's under a Ralph Kruger. Even Don Granato was 4-1-1 at one point during his 2021 season. So it's a long year, but the early dividends that we were seeing as far as the charts were concerned are starting to show as far as the win column. So that's a lot to be excited about.
And I think from Butt and mine's sake too, seeing this team succeed makes us feel a little bit better for all the things we are saying on this offseason early on in the year, that what they were doing was sustainable, that we could see some success there. But for whatever reason, they just couldn't get the job done. 3 wins in a row. But how are you feeling kind of going into this big matchup with Florida?
I'm feeling amazing right now, but I'm trying to be humble at the same time because I feel like whenever I start talking my smack, then the Sabres respond by losing 3 games in a row. So I'm starting to basically take this quiet but confident approach where I'm just not going to say much. I'm going to quietly expect them to do good. And then at the end of the year when they're in the playoffs, I'm going to say I told you so to every single person on Sabres Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's kind of our best option. It's a lose-lose if we go out there, say a lot, and they drop the ball right in our face yet again. But Bunty, Sabres power play,
They scored.
alive?
I mean,
Who would have thought?
it's
After
incredible.
going 0 for 2000, what it felt like, they finally get one. Tage Thompson, hardest shot ever recorded in this new era, finds the back of the net off the Zucker shot. But how are we feeling with the power play now that we can finally see it works?
So, they did start looking better in recent games. I'm still not all the way there, but I'm happy that they finally put one in the back of the net. What I do want to say about the Sabres team is we were saying before the season, we wanted to see them look like they had some structure and to play games where it looked like a complete team, where they're not scoring goals based on luck or low repeatability type chances. We wanted to see a sustainable brand of hockey. And that's what we're seeing right now. This team has scored 4+ goals in 6 straight games. They're scoring goals. They were, I believe, second in the NHL at one point in goals scored near the crease or in the crease. So they're getting guys in front of the net. They've been forechecking. Tage is healthy. He's going off. You're seeing Owen Power get involved offensively. I believe 7 points in 9 games. And you know what? The goaltending hasn't even been good yet. And they're 4-4-1. If it's okay for Sabres Twitter to freak out and say the season is over when they're 1-4-1, well, then I can be on my high horse and be like, look out for this team. What they look at like right now at 4-4-1. I think this team is showing that they absolutely can play winning hockey.
Yeah, and I think no one saw it better this most recent history than Maniac himself. Boots on the ground at these games. It looked like through each, winning the series, Keybanks can just get a little bit more full of people. That life's getting dragged back into the arena. And Maniac, how's the atmosphere been at these games with getting these high scoring games? The end of the Red Wings game, that the video took of Quinn's getting that empty netter, looked like a pretty good game to be at.
Yeah, whether it was the Stars earlier this week, obviously the Panthers, now that was a couple weeks ago, or even obviously the Red Wings yesterday. These are multi-goal wins. These are exciting home atmospheres to play in, and they're giving the fans something to be excited about. Obviously, what do we got? We got against the Panthers, we got 5 goals. Against the Stars, we got 4 goals. Against the Red Wings, 5 goals. So they're giving the home fans something to be excited about. Again, is it sustainable? It seems like it is more based on the charts and what we're seeing. So that is something to be excited about. But you got to continue to put pen to paper as far as the Sabres are concerned. You got to continue to show that this isn't just a flash in the pan. And you got to take this to 20 games. You got to take this to 30 games before fans can really start to believe and buy in. And honestly, for a lot of fans, it may even take till February, March. But I love the encouraging returns that we're seeing early.
And you know what's great about this too, Maniac? we haven't even seen Dylan Cousins or Jack Quinn do anything yet. Like, Benson is out hurt. Like, that's basically the entire preseason second line of this team. Like, the first line is, I'll say, they're borderline dominant right now with Thompson, Tuck, and Peterka. Peterka has been such an upgrade over Skinner. It's not even, like, comparable. Like, Skinner looks like a bum on the ice compared to Peterka. And now you don't need to worry about his inability to play any defense on that top line. So now you got a two-way guy that is a +6, a team-leading +6. And then on the third line, McLeod has been a revelation with his ability to get up and down the ice. Greenway apparently can play hockey when paired with the right guys. And Zucker, you're seeing already his ability to change from the third line to the second line. Zucker has some left in the tank. That is a guy that still has ability, who's playing at a high level. The fourth line don't even care. Just continue doing what they're doing. If we can get Cousins and Quinn just to wake up, there's even more upside for this team. Like, this basically most of what I was hoping for in the offseason is coming true right now, except for the two guys that I've been praying to rebound. If Cousins and Quinn can just wake up at some point, this team should be in contention for the majority of the season.
Yeah, Bunty, you just have a way with words right now, a true wordsmith, because you could talk about paint drying right now and I would be ready to run through a wall for it, because everything you're talking about the Sabres team makes me excited for tomorrow. I mean, and you're right about it too. That top line has been absolutely dominant, whether it's Tage Thompson, JJ Peterka, or Alex Tuck. It seems like every single night they're all on the score sheet carrying this team. Dahlin, Power are finding their offensive game now. Byram finally found a goal. Like, this team is going in the right direction. Samuelson's not the whipping boy on Twitter anymore. People are loving, not talking about his name every single night. UPL's been back. It's a really fun time for this team. And again, it's so early in the year, Maniac. We're talking must-win games in October a couple weeks ago, and here we are now back to 500.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, sometimes it's hard to keep Sabres Twitter from hitting the alert button. And let's face it felt like a must win when you were, grinding one up a couple weeks ago. But now you're 4-4-1. You're seeing the results across the board look pretty positive. You said it. Samuelson, in my opinion, never deserved to be a whipping boy. I think there were always injuries. I think there were always issues. Even I think back to the first game or second game of the year when they had that 2-on-1 where Samuelson was the only one back and he was catching the strays over it. You got to look at the body of work, and I'm going to excitedly anticipate these next 11 games for the Sabres as they go from 9 games played to 20 games played. 20 games played will basically be the 1 quarter mark, and I would not be surprised if the returns continue and we really see some positive things going with the Sabres into that very exciting, November period where we have been scorned before, Bunty. It wouldn't be the first time that Sabres have caught heat going into the Thanksgiving season, especially recently.
Yeah, we gotta see what this team does the next 10+ games before we really have a true belief in them and what identity they truly have. Like, right now, this is a nice little spurt, but it's 3 games. I guess if you want to extend it out of the 6 games, 9 points in the last 9 out of the last 12 possible points. So they're on a nice stretch right now, but just as quickly as like we're feeling positive, they can equally go on a poor stretch and get us in the other direction. So definitely need a bigger sample size. But I guess the most encouraging thing right now is I know you beat Florida minus 2 of their best players, but Florida right now is near the top of the Eastern Conference standings. You played a Dallas team that started 5-1, and you for pretty much for 55 minutes you own them on the ice, and then a few days later they go to Boston and they just abuse the Bruins. So I think what's encouraging is you're seeing this team get results against better competition, and that is normally a sign that you have an elevated roster and that this team has a higher belief in themselves. I felt like last year people always said the Sabres were inconsistent, but I thought they were the most inconsistent team in the league. They couldn't win more than 2 in a row. They couldn't lose more than 2 in a row. They just every night you didn't know what to expect. They didn't have a 3-game winning streak until February. I feel like watching this team, I have this belief that they have the ability to put winning streaks together. Now, will they make the playoffs? I don't know at the end of the year, but I have that early feeling right now that we're going to be talking about the playoff race for the entire season. Remember how Calaposo said last year, you could tell by early November this team just wasn't it. They weren't going to find it. I have that same feeling, but the opposite right now. This team does have it, and they will be in contention the entire season.
Yeah, you made a great point, Bunty. It just feels, and you even tried to temper expectations yourself. You said right away you have to wait another 10 to 11 games to see what's going on. But there's just something about this team where even on Saturday, when they have a couple defensive lapses against the Red Wings, it's just like you kind of write it off because you know they have that potent potential. I think back to the Granato era. I think back to the Krug era, even the Housley era at times. It just felt like they were stuck in the mud. And when you had a bad turnover in the middle of the second period, that it could be damning. Whereas when you see the Sabres go to 3-3 yesterday afternoon at the arena, you feel optimistic and you feel hopeful for what they could do. So Gatesy, I think you're just really seeing a different team and a different mindset. Again, it is only 9 games into the Lindy Ruff era, but you like to see the quick turnaround as far as the mindset for this young roster.
Yeah, and I think a big reason we can even say that is because of that Red Wings game most recently where they kept trying to lose the game of shooting themselves in the foot, and Detroit pulls their goalie. I think everyone at home is thinking the Buffalo Sabres are going to do the most Buffalo Sabres thing ever, give a 5-on-6 goal and lose in overtime or something like that. But they found a way to win, which is different. They stayed strong mentally. They played very well defensively on a 5-on-6, which has really kind of been the crux of their whole existence this whole season, it feels like. And it just feels like right now, the way they're playing, it's not a false hope that we've seen in years past where, they're playing backup goalies every single night and getting these lucky goals. Like, they're playing well night in, night out at this point in this early stretch of the season. Because we're going to forget about Prague. We're all on the same page there. But yeah, I think we should enjoy these good vibes, enjoy this, good time as a Sabres fan. But I am going to be an intern Vinny. I'm going to rain on everyone's parade a little bit because just because great things are happening doesn't mean, it's great everywhere. Do we have a goalie situation on our hands? UPL's played the last 3 games. He's played well in those. Devin Levi, is he going to get in the net? Like, what do you guys want to see happen with this goalie rotation moving forward? Because I think we're all kind of in agreement. We want UPL to get a lot of it wasn't going to be an even 50-50 split. But if he's going to keep winning games, you want Levi to see pucks. And Bunty, how do you feel about this goalie tandem moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's UPL's net right now. I went into the year thinking like maybe we could see like a 47-35, something like that. Maybe a 40, maybe a little bit closer to that. Right now, UPL has earned the net. He's playing better. Levi was horrendous in the Columbus loss. Single-handedly basically cost them a chance at getting to overtime. When you allow 6 goals on 1.96 expected, you're just not doing your job. And I think with Levi, the potential is all there. I think long-term, he will be the number 1 goalie one day for this team. But UPL is just the better goalie. I still think he has his moments as well, but you have more consistent upside from him. And one thing I will say, too, I think some of it might be just a little bit about how Lindy Ruff coaches this team in general. You look at him when he was in Dallas and New Jersey, he always had good offensive teams, but the goaltending was always a struggle for both of those franchises. So when that's a repeat thing for multiple teams, I don't think that's just on the goaltending. I think that might just be a result of the situations you put your goaltending in. But one thing I do want to add this quick. Another thing that does give me some added hope with this team. When you had Ruff in Jersey, even when he had the injuries last year and things kind of fell off, with obviously the goaltending was horrible, they were always producing high expected goal numbers. Did the same in Dallas. Now you're seeing it in Buffalo with a healthy Thompson who seems to be back at this 40-plus goal Thompson version that we like. You add in a more mature defense, Darlene, Power, Byram, all another year experience, to where like they're going to be sloppy at times, but I don't think you're going to ever get the sloppiness of 2 years ago. And you have a goaltending that will at least be average on a nightly basis. I think what you're looking at is an improved version of what the Sabres were 2 years ago, of where they're going to be high event hockey. You're going to see a lot of high scoring games. Maybe you're going to face some consequences in your defensive zone a little bit as a result, but you have enough improvement in your defense and your goaltending that you should be able to get by with it on most nights.
Yeah, I'm in an interesting spot on the goaltending because I think UPL is playing so well that you continue to roll him out there as often as you can, that you feel comfortable doing. We cannot wear him down too much because if UPL goes, we're in a lot of trouble. But with that said, you also pick your spots with Levi. I don't think the answer is to like play him necessarily less, but maybe if we could pick his spots a little bit more advantageously. We got to remember he's still developing. He showed everything at the AHL level that peripherally should indicate that he's going to be a good NHL goalie. Just got to take your time sometimes with these. There's no rhyme or reason to NHL goalies, or else they would always get brought up the same way. So Gatesy, obviously, you have a little bit of experience with, goaltending, but as far as confidence level and everything, I feel like Levi understands he's still a young man. I feel like he understands that, it's still an opportunity for him to be a premier goaltender in the NHL. Might just take a couple more steps than, necessarily thought at first. When we look back, 18 months ago.
Yeah, I had that one video where I kind of broke down some of the issues I had with just the way Levi played and how we kind of correct those. And that's just going to come with game time. So I don't know if the Sabres want to do something they did with like UPL a couple years ago where, he's in Rochester, but they find games where it's going to make sense for him to come up and they get him in Buffalo to play a couple of games, find the right opponent, and just build that confidence because, he's a competitor. Like, he loves to compete. We all know that. And I think being that underdog is going to make him a better goalie where he's going to want to be better and push himself to get that number one spot. But if it's something like we're seeing in Columbus where he couldn't get stop a beach ball at that night, and it happens. He's a young goalie. It happens to every goalie. But that happened early on is tough. It really took the wind out of the sails for the team that game. But I think it's going to just take time to get him some games. I don't know what works best for this tandem. I think they're going to have to figure that out long term because I think that's what a lot of us are hoping and envisioning is we can ride these two in the sunset forever and never have to think about goaltending ever again. But right now, I think it's just getting Levi those games where he can be serviceable. We're not going to have these thoughts in the back of our head like we're going to have another Columbus game on our hands or what's the issue. But we got some comments here. Good old Duke Duchy. But yeah, that's how Ukko got his start to the Sabres. I think we all know that. That was 2021. He got those first couple of games played well, and then we all know how that next season went maniac.
Yeah, I mean, Dutchy always, gets a little emotional in his Ukko bag, but yeah, I think it's fair that, just don't ask too much of him. Just try to put him in an advantageous situation. Clearly, they were a little desperate / crazy last year when they brought him out to be the guy. Let's not make that mistake again. We got Ukko, who's in good shape, can definitely take care of business in net. We're scoring goals. Let's just focus on continuing to win games and hopefully continuing to bring Devin along. It's an asset to have two goaltenders. We know that. So in the end game of the Sabres being good and being a franchise worth, respecting again, sometime in the next 2 to 3 years, having a tandem involving Levi clearly plays in that, and probably involving UPL and Levi, given UPL's contract, of course.
And they already have that tandem right now, to be honest, in my opinion. I think the Sabres goaltending situation is a great spot moving forward. You already have UPL under contract for the next 4 years. So he's not going anywhere. And I think if anything, that takes the pressure off of Levi to where he doesn't need to step up right now and be great. Be patient with him. Let him develop on his own time. Like, obviously you need him to play decently. You're expecting to compete for a playoff spot, but if you have to play UPL 50 plus games, we saw last year you can survive doing that. Now, is that ideal? Probably not. But I look at it like you should have one of the best goaltending situations in hockey a few years from now, assuming you have both these guys in that. You have and this also kind of goes back to Maniac. You've been talking for years how you loved UPL and how Sabres fan base basically hated the guy just because the stats in Rochester and the ECHL before that weren't good. It's like it's amazing. Fans think that like goaltending stats at lower levels matters when you're playing behind crappy defensemen that don't do their jobs, and a lot of times you're checked out. I remember I covered a goalie who's in the NHL now who played at the ECHL level, and the ECHL level he had like an 870 save percentage. Then he went to the AHL and he had like a 915. And then the NHL, he's been a very solid guy too. It's like situations matter, development's different. I think Levi has already shown that in the AHL, he's already a level above everyone in that league. So he just has to figure it out, and you just got to build up his confidence one game at a time.
Yeah.
And let's face it, at the end of the day, if Levi is the competitor that we all anticipate him to be, if he is the Sabre we all hope he can be, a team like Columbus, that's only going to drive him. That's only going to make him want it that much more. So I'm excited to see how he kind of bounces back. With that said, all things considered, how bad that game looked.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree on that Columbus game. But gentlemen, we're 9 games into the season. Some early stock up and down. What's so far in the season? What's been a little bit of a highlight for you, Bunty, and what's something you want to see an improvement on from this team?
So if I'm going to do stock up, the obvious one is Tage Thompson. A lot of people were on him last year, and I really thought that injury impacted his play and had a large impact on his overall stats and production. Tage Thompson looks like he's going to easily be a 40-goal scorer this year. Like, he has 7 and 9. All you need is 33 in the next 72. Like, he should be able to do that. Next 73, I mean. And then I'll say stock up for a few other players. Owen Power, stock up. So many people love to hate on him because he's a 6'6" defenseman that doesn't like to hit too much. But he's 22 years old. He has 7 points in 9 games. He's showing why he was a former number 1 overall pick. And then my last stock up will be Ryan McLeod. What a huge addition to the third line, and have a defensively responsible third line center. How much have we heard of early in the season about Casey Middlestat this, Casey Middlestat that? I'll tell you what, if the Sabres had a choice between Casey Middlestat or Ryan McLeod straight up, they're choosing Ryan McLeod. This guy is defensively responsible. He does what he needs to do. He might not put up the points that a Casey Middlestat will. He's a better player than Casey Middlestat. Casey Middlestat had through 4 goals in 6 games was a -5. Yeah, good job, Casey. Like, you're putting the puck in.
Did he get got by the Middlestat Mafia?
I think the Middlestat Mafia got him.
The Middlestat Mafia just got bunt. He was about to take out Casey.
I got scared for a second. I thought I was next.
Did you guys get my Middlestat point?
We heard it right till the 4 goals. He's a -6 or something.
Yeah. He was a -5 through like 5 games or something. Like, everybody was talking about all of his goal production, but then it's like, well, what about all the goals that they're allowing when he's on the ice?
I agree.
I would take McLeod over Casey any day just because of the fit on this squad. And I'll do my quick stock downs. Obviously, Cousins and Quinn right now, they're not producing at the level you need them to. And then I'll say Samuelson, just because I do think he was turning the puck over and making some dumb mistakes early in the year. But other than that, I feel pretty good about where everybody's at right now.
Yeah, not too much to complain about. Duke Dutchy, good brain on you, because I was thinking the same thing with Henry Jokiharju for a stock up, because he's been a guy I feel like every single Sabres season we just see tweet after tweet after tweet and how he's terrible. Let's get him out of here. He's been a very serviceable defenseman this year, playing big minutes for the Sabres team. And I thought he's done a great job at handling those expectations and not being a liability every time he steps on the ice, because he's had seasons where he's been that. But right now, I think he's doing a great job, being paired with the Sabres top defenseman, moving the puck well, and just not doing really dumb things with the puck anymore. So yeah, I love to see that for Jokiharju. Stock down. I mean, the Sabres just all around special teams has been atrocious. I mean, we had a whole 5-minute segment about them scoring 1 power play goal, and we're 9 games into the season. If that says anything, the penalty kill has been a bit of a thorn in their side. Their 5-on-6 is costing the Penguins game. Thankfully, it showed up at the end of the Red Wings game, but we should not celebrate, finally getting through a game 5-on-6 and not giving up a goal. But yeah, I think that's right now where it's at. The Sabres can just boost their special teams just a little bit in every facet. They're going to be cruising to a lot more victories. But Maniac, how are you feeling right now?
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, I have the highest integrity for my stock up, stock down, so I'll finish this off here in this segment. Matthias Samuelson, stock up, obviously. Great to see him in the mix, get it jumping into the offensive play. I look at Matthias Samuelson as a Henrik Tallinder plus. He could do everything that Tallinder could do times 2.5. So I'm hoping that Lindy Ruff will be able to take advantage of what he could offer. For stock up as well, we have the in-arena activities. We haven't had any of the Sabres beat a little child yet in any of the guessing games, which we had during the drought. So kudos to the Sabres for making that happen as well. Stock down for the scoreboard because it featured the gold ring sponsor banners on the corners this past Saturday. We have a big new scoreboard. We don't need to use it for the sponsors. I get what you're saying. But also stock up for the scoreboard because it displays the 50-50 winner full time now instead of only just quickly, and then you have to figure it out online later. So stock up and stock down for the scoreboard. But besides that, I love to see what we're seeing from the Sabres, so going to keep it up.
Yeah, and gentlemen, any final thoughts here? Sabres play tomorrow, Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champions. Bunty, any thoughts going into this game that we should be excited about, or is this going to be a scary test?
Well, the last time we played the Panthers, I said no shot at winning. So maybe I'll just repeat that again. And
no shot
at winning. The winning streak's over. We're gonna lose, and then if anything else happens, I'll be happy. But yeah, I'll be at the game tomorrow night. I'll be at the game on Friday against New York. My hair's all over the place. I was just in a hot tub, but
whoa, humble brag.
I'm sorry. Perfect. It was 104 degrees. Great night. Love it. But yeah, I feel decently about this team right now. I'm glad that they were able to recover after their struggles in Prague. Everybody was freaking out over them struggling through 5% of the season, and now we are 11% of the way into the season, and people are feeling good about that. So I just hope they can pile up a few more wins, and hopefully by the time we're talking a month or two from now, we're talking about a team that's at least a decent amount over 500 and competing for playoff positioning.
The funny thing is there's just a big difference between saying you're cool and actually being cool. And the last 5 games, the Sabres have been a little bit more cool than they were those first 4 or 5 games. So it's just nice to see.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be a tough one. Florida's going to want revenge after that last game. They've been playing well. But honestly, these Buffalo Sabres, we keep saying it, they're the hottest team in the NHL. The past 3 games, they're undefeated. They are the premier sports team right now. If you look at the past 3 games ever played by any sports team, this Buffalo Sabres team, I think tomorrow could be a fun night. KeyBank Center. But yeah, thank you for watching Crossing Swords podcast. I don't know if you guys have any more final thoughts before we wrap things up tonight.
I hope you've enjoyed this premier entertainment. Of course, enjoy the region's premier entertainment destination, Batavia Downs.
If they win tomorrow, they're making the playoffs.
Whoa. You heard it here first, folks. Thank you. Let's have a good night, because sometimes our signals get crossed, but our swords always are. Let's go Sabres.